Now, the NFL is playing musical chairs as the New England Patriots facilities were shut down. Now, the game against the Denver Broncos has been moved from last Sunday to next Sunday. Now, looking at the Tennessee Titans, their facility was shut down for the second time, and they haven't practiced in the last 2 weeks as 23 people have come back testing positive. Now, the NFL is cracking down even more so for teams and coaches that don't wear masks during game day. They could be penalized in that game and also lose draft picks and more. Now, the NFL is trying to figure this all out in weeks to come, but one has to wonder how all of this is going to play out moving forward. We'll have those answers and a lot more as Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus is coming up next.
Welcome to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus television show, here on the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network. Let's welcome our co-host this week, the former chaplain of the Washington football team, Mr. Milton Harding. A man Tom Knott once called Mad Mike, the mouthpiece of NCAA maniacs, Mike Baker. Washington football team beat reporter and member of the Fairmont University women's basketball 1,000-point club, Miss Donna Hopkins. One of the most prolific pass catchers in the 20th century, and four-time Pro Bowler and Super Bowl wide receiver Gary Clark. And a man who played in the NFL for 14 seasons, and one of the all-time sack leaders in the NFL, Super Bowl pass rusher Tony Mac the Sack McGee.
We love our new home. There's so much space.
We have a guest room now.
But we have ants.
You're slouching again, Ted.
Expired. Expired. Expired.
Thanks, Aunt Bonnie.
It's a lot of house. I hope you can keep it clean.
At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
Which helps us save a lot of money.
Oh, Teddy, did you get my friend request?
I'll have to check.
Aunt Joni's here.
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
Welcome to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. It look as if I'm smiling now. It's an aberration. I'm not smiling. I'm not happy. What happened on Sunday? We got to get to that right now. You see my crew here. We got the Milt. We got the Gary. We got the Michael. But Donna, coming to you first. When you got 108 total yards on offense, how do you have an MVP?
Well, Tony, one thing, you don't have an MVP because how could you pick one? When you look at the production of this Washington football team's offense, Tony, no one played well. They had 38 yards rushing, like you said, 108 total yards. And at one stretch, they had 217 yards to 17 by the Washington football team, outgained by that much. But the offensive line, Tony, it doesn't matter what quarterback is back there because guess what? It won't matter because they're going to get hammered. I mean, they've got to get better. 8 sacks, 6 was on Alex Smith. And then we did a revolving door on quarterbacks because Cal Allen got hurt. And then we had to go to Alex Smith. But hats off to Alex Smith for coming back. But this offense, Tony, is a total disaster right now.
Let me look through my notes. I think I said something at the beginning of the year. This job is being held for Alex Smith. Did that happen on Sunday, guys?
Well, yeah, but why would you go back to Smith? Why wouldn't you go back to Smith next week? You've already, the plan was to get him in a couple of weeks anyway. This makes no sense to me. I don't think the coaches know what's going on.
I don't think they mean to bring him back this early, though. I don't think they wanted him in there.
Kyle Allen was our player of the game, offensive player of the game, because he had him up 7-6. I mean, he did drive him down. He did score the touchdown. So he was on the right road, so to speak. I mean, he wasn't antsy in the pocket. He's got a quick release. He doesn't have a gun like Haskins, but I thought he was doing okay.
Well, you know what? I think it's best that they did it that way. They did not expect to do that. They wanted to bring him back at a certain time, but what happened was injuries made it happen. It did not give him time to think about he's getting back in. He had to go into the action, so it probably worked out better for each and every one. I would not start him this week. I go back to my actual plan of playing the other young man and bringing him in. I think that would be better. Just to get him back in, to me, that was a victory on Sunday.
Yeah, Tony, to Donna's point, it might not have mattered who was back there playing quarterback. I mean, that line was porous at best. It was just, I mean, it was just.
They gave up 8 sacks.
It was brutal.
I mean, I tell you what, I saw more linemen back there with Alex than I did see holding people out. It was just, I mean, I don't know, but it was a little difficult for any quarterback.
It would have been nice to have Peterson in the game, somebody who could bull through that line and establish some kind of a running.
Well, Mike, he wouldn't even got through that line the way it was planned on Sunday. But when you look at some stats, Tony, this Washington football team, as far as on points, they only average, about 17 points, which is 30th in the NFL. Passing the ball, about 180 some yard, 30th in the NFL, and rushing about 81 yard, which is down almost at the bottom also. So it's no production all the way around from this offensive unit. And is it coaching some, or it's just the fact they're not good right now?
You got his own to something. Go ahead, Tony.
What though, if you think about it, G, you tell me, every position we spoke about today did not play well, and it was a result of another position not playing well. So let's just be truthful. It's the coaches, it's the team, it's the scheme, it's everything right now.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of everything that happened with last week's game. It's just unbelievable to think a professional team would put up that small amount of offense. Like I don't know if I've ever seen those numbers before. Not in a maybe in a Washington football team, but I've never seen it in a Redskin.
Exactly.
I've never.
Hold it, ladies and gentlemen. We've been waiting to introduce this all year.
Breaking news.
You have noticed on all the prior shows, no one used the R word. Here we have Gary Clark using the R word. From now on, each and one of us that do not say the Washington football team, if we use the R word, we have to put $1 in the pot. So, gee, next week we would like to see our dollar.
Can I say something about Haskins' agent? Earlier in the week when Dwayne was benched, and of course, you remember what I said to you all on the set last year when Dwayne first came in and had such an abysmal game. I said, this young man, it won't be with Washington. This young man will win a Super Bowl by the time he ends his career. And I still stick to that. I'll tell you one thing, that agent of his at first, it sort of infuriated me with what he said. And then I watched the game unfold and he was absolutely correct. He said, you basically gave this guy no preseason workouts, no preseason games. He's had, 3 coaches in 13 games. You talked about all the offseason workouts, the fact that he whipped himself in shape, that he came in with a leadership attitude. He came in the first game at halftime and he said, let's go out and let's win this one. We were down 17 the last time we played these guys. Let's go get this game. And all of these attributes that were lauded on this young man after the first game of the season, and all of a sudden, they didn't even let him play out 2 games because they wanted to, A, save their timeouts, who knows, or because they didn't want to get anyone hurt. He never had the opportunity to run the 2-minute drill at the end of the game, even though they were down by 11. I think this young man has been trod over.
We got to look into the records. You must be his agent.
Thank you, Tony.
I can't believe what you said, right? Oh, he worked hard and all. Well, obviously he didn't do the right thing. Number 2, I had too many people tell me that he was immature at this time. And I look at this coach now, the way he runs this team, he would not make him 3rd string if he did not deserve to be that. Now, we knew Alex was going to start, but they gave him ample time. They gave him opportunity. I tell you what, anytime you have that, and when you guys talk about what do they need Adrian Peterson for? They had 48 yards in 14 carries. So this whole team to me, don't try to, you know what, Mike, take the gloves off. You ain't no extra, so get out his hip pocket. Don't be defending him right now. He hasn't done well. Neither could have changed in there.
Tony, ease up, Tony. You got a vein coming out of your neck, Tony.
Hey, Tony, Mike did not say about the fact that they said that he was making the same mistakes over and over, but
thank you.
Story, I got a chance to hear from Alex Smith, but before we go any further, let's hear what he had to say about being back out for his first time.
I was pleased. I was excited for him. You know, he went out and had a good time. It would have been a lot better if we could have protected a little bit more. But I thought he handled it well. I thought he made some good decisions. You know, he made quick decisions, got the ball out of his hands. It was tough. You know, you're playing from behind, and the other team knows it. They changed their approach, and that's tough. And I thought he handled it very well.
So, taking it all in, you know, I knew I was obviously prepped all week and prepared, and knowing I was only a play away. You know, obviously very, very surreal at first. To have it happen as fast as it did was probably almost a blessing. You know, for me, obviously, just after, you know, I knew it once Kyle took that shot that there was a chance of it, and obviously run over, grab my helmet, get ready to roll. So it was kind of nice in that sense, not having to think about it. You know, for me, obviously, the second half was tough. You know, frustrating in a lot of ways, especially once you're down, and then once it got real wet, it was hard with the grip and tough sledding and trying to find a way to get it done. You know, and they're good up front.
Well, you know, when you take a look at that, and I don't care what was said and what has transpired, when I see Alex Smith standing up there, right there, we got a victory. And the other thing that I see there, I see future for this team. I've always felt, even when Haskins was given the job, that he was not the person. I felt like Alex Smith, on the year that he got hurt, he was on his way to taking this team back to respectability. Now that he's back, I think it worked out well. And, you know, sometimes things work the way you do not expect them to work. But as I said, it was good that he didn't have to think for a week that I'm going to be playing, will I get hit? It was good that Haskins wasn't around, maybe angry all week, and Alex was looking and trying to make him happy. It was good that the team did not know this was going to happen. But you know that what was good for the team? He's back now. Don't play him right now. Get him ready, but he's back right now. That's important, because the way this offense performed on Sunday, they need to go back and maybe try to see if Brady want to come here for a little while. Because what you say, Gary, don't bet against Brady.
We got enough problems of our own, Tony, right now.
I mean, I think it's at the end of the day, when you play this game, I mean, it's NFL, you know, we know it stands for not for long. If you don't put up numbers, unfortunately, you get replaced. That's just, unfortunately, that's just the nature of this game. And again, it doesn't matter the amount of time that you're in. Once you're the guy put on the spot, your job is to perform. So hopefully Haskins gets another opportunity to perform in the future. Because I think he is a good young man. And I never want to say anything bad about a person that comes into the league. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to perform and put up the numbers. Like, if you don't put up the numbers, I don't care who you are, they will get rid of you. It's just what it is.
I have
an all-star quarterback for 10 years running, but if you don't play good in the 11th year, they'll get rid of you. It's just what it is.
I've got a graphic, Tony, that we'd like to talk about. These were sort of the impact players that we isolated last week to be on the lookout in the weeks ahead, when we thought we had a little bit of a brighter future. Maybe we do.
Before you say the name, did you isolate them this week or last week?
I isolated them and gave them almost all A's last week, even A minuses anyway. But this week,
our question is, inquiring mind, what did you give them this week, Mike?
I'm getting ready. Okay, so let's take a look at the screen.
I don't even know why he gave
Antonio. I gave Antonio Gibson a C. I gave Logan Thomas a D, and I gave Terrence McLaurin a C. Those were the grades for the three guys that have to step up on this team in terms of the offense. You can argue with me, but I'm not putting it all on Gibson, and I'm not putting it all on McLaurin because of the quarterback situation. However, I will say one thing. Watch this prediction. McLaurin will not make the Pro Bowl this year because he doesn't have Dwayne Haskins throwing to him.
We have to take a break right now, but listen, when we come back, we got to go in the panic room behind that one. But at the same time, you just saw
panic room.
One guy turned from being a homer to another guy turning to being Homer Jones.
Wait.
Back in the moment.
Geico's been helping people save money for over 75 years. They've really stood the test of time, much like these majestic Rocky Mountains, which must be named after the Rocky.
That would be Rocky the Flying Squirrel, Mr. Gecko, sir. Obviously.
Come on, Bullwinkle. They're named after...
First President George Rockington.
That doesn't even make any sense, Mr. Winkle.
Geico, over 75 years of savings and service.
Well, welcome back to the show. And as we said, when you have an offense that only has 108 yards, you got a defense that must not have did. They ain't the way I'm gonna say it because it don't sound right saying it right. They ain't did anything. You look at this and we laughing about it, but 300 yards passing, 129 yards rushing, 1 sack. And this is a defense that we said was going to be one of the defenses in the whole NFL that was going to be good. What happened on Sunday, guys? Somebody tell me. I don't want to come to you, Donna, because I know where you coming. Milk, give me a little bit, home. Milk.
So at this point, we're 4 games deep into the season now. So at this point, I do want to take a deeper look at the defensive scheme as to what's going on through that. I don't think you can just drop Ioannidis. I mean, he's a big part of it, but I don't think you drop one man and have as quiet of a response as we had from first rounders. I mean, and even with Ioannidis gone, you got Settle in there who it doesn't look like he's missing a beat. So he played. I thought if there was a defensive player of the game yesterday, it could have easily been Settle, in my opinion. But Montez Sweat was good too. I just think that we're still looking at people in the defensive backfield who don't seem to know where to be. We have linebackers. I haven't seen linebackers in 3 weeks almost.
Thank you.
You know, the line is so I'd like to just know a little bit about the scheme. It looked like to me, and I could be wrong, help me with this, G, but it looked like if that was a cover 2 scheme the whole game or pretty much of the game, that's not going to work. I mean, that's not working. It's just not working.
I think that it'll. I got a chance to talk to Kendall Fuller, and I think he explains a lot what's going on in that secondary. Let's go to the tape.
Good.
We just got to be locked in. Anytime you playing, some zone coverages, everybody got to be on the same page. If one person sees it this way and plays it that way, and the next person doesn't see it the same way, you're gonna give up plays. So us just coming together, watching film together, just seeing how each other see things and things like that to help us, limit explosive plays. That's it. Just me and Landon kind of being in zone and kind of just seeing it 2 different ways. And anytime, the corner and the safety to that backside sees it 2 different ways, you're going to give up an explosive play. So it's something that we got to go in film room, learn from it, and make sure that through a course of a game that we see everything the same way to limit those explosive plays.
We were in our cover 2 coverage, and Landon was the half defender. Kyle was Kendall was the flat defender. He was supposed to jam and widen. He did widen him, and it looked like Landon had a bad angle. He made the break, but I thought his break was a little bit fat. I'd like to see him climb a little bit more on that break, and that's what it looked like to me.
Well, you know what?
I think that they explained it even more so as far as just the leverage, players being where they're supposed to be. I mean, the defensive front only has had 2 sacks in the last 2 games, but the secondary, that's where they're having the miscommunication. And Collins really has not played well this year so far because, it just seems like he's lost in this particular scheme that they're in. And Rivera just talked about them basically trusting where the other guy is going to be and knowing where the help is going to come from, and they're not getting it done yet.
Well, you know what? What I'd like to do for all of you fans, very quickly, you've heard cover 2 or 3 times here. And what cover 2 is when you see those outside defensive backs, the cornerbacks, they will push that receiver inside to the safeties, and those 2 safeties will pick them up. Am I correct on that, G?
That's somewhat like that. Basically, the defensive backs, their job is to actually make sure that you do go inside. push you inside, like you said, Tor, because the safety's coming back over top. But for them to say it's a communication problem, it's not. It's a zone. It's a zone defense. You already know where you're supposed to be at. I'm not communicating.
Yeah.
I'm going to push me inside, and then I'm going to go back. Anything that's in front of me, the cornerback is taking it. It's from around a 5 to 7 yard area. And the safety is taking anything over that. That's why the dead spot in the cover 2 zone is an outside zone on the sideline about 15 yards. 15 yards. That's where you got to try to hit the player with a perfect pass, 15 yards, because that's the pocket, or it's in the middle of the field.
You know,
I mean, like Roberts.
And that's the problem. And if you heard, the biggest part is communication. And Mike, one thing about it, we've been talking on this show for the last 4 weeks, and look like we never talked anything real positive. Now on Sunday, individuals seem to feel like the linebackers could not handle the tight ends. And then you take a look back during the course of the last 3-4 games, and tight ends have been a problem. Is it the linebackers? Is it the defensive backs? Or schematically, is not being taken care of?
Which I know very limited about those zone defenses, but I will tell you one thing. The Rams came into this game knowing that the tight end was going to be a big factor in this game. He was their leading receiver with 90 yards, basically 4 for 5, and had a 40-yard reception. There's something about the zone coverage they're playing where that tight end releases at the line of scrimmage and then just essentially takes that right side or takes the middle and is wide open. I can't answer that, but I do have grades. I have grades, and I was very generous for the defense because you are the boss of the show, Tony.
You don't have to go. Hey, don't wait for me.
If you take a look at the grades for the 3 impact players, Colin's got a C-. Because we're gonna put some of that on Apke, perhaps. You never know. And Curl, the rookie who came in, Bostic gets a B-, Fuller gets a B. There's got to be some help downfield. I see these safeties getting beat all the time, and I don't know why they are getting beat. You guys are the football players.
Mike, you gave them too high grades because really, Tony, I'm telling you, Tony, there's so many breakdowns in that secondary. It's not just the linebackers, but it's the linebackers, safeties, and the defensive backs. And Tony, I want to ask you on Sunday, let's talk about the defensive front. And they seem like they've been lost too in the last 2 games. What's happening up front right now? And Young was back.
Ioannidis.
But that's only a part of it, though, Tony.
Wait, Mr. Milton. I've been out there on the field a little bit, and I'm going to tell you what, you can lose a key player like that in a lot of positions, i.e. we lost Art Monk right before the Super Bowl. We had somebody to come in, but we lost, say, a Dexter Manley or a Dave Butts, that would have changed our whole defensive flow because we had a flow of who comes in at different times, different situations. They had that flow and going with them, and their best lineman at the time is hurt, so it makes them adjust to a lot of more things. Not saying he's the best player out there, but schematically, when they're all playing together, with him out there is better. And right now they miss him a lot.
You know what's really interesting? If you look at the wall, only 1 sack, and you've got these 4 first-round picks. But
so the wall is a fence now. Is that what you're telling us?
No, but I'll tell you one thing we noticed from past years. Remember how we used to really take a look at that defensive line and they get 1 tackle, 2 tackles. I mean, these players are tackling. They got like 12 or 13 tackles on that defensive line. So something's happening. Why are they not getting pressure? Are they not blitzing? Do they need to blitz? I mean, that's on Jack Del Rio. But they're making the tackles. What's going on with the linebackers?
Come on, G.
Line, guys. It's not the same line.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
The same line that we started when we started the first 2 games. That was a different line.
Yeah.
The line performed and the defense performed, and the points were lessened. I don't care what coverage you have. If the quarterback has a long time to throw, I'm going to get open. It's just what it's going to be. The zone doesn't hold up. It holds up because there's so much pressure that the defensive line's going to put on the quarterback. The quarterback going to have so much time to throw. And when they limit him to that time, the zone works. But if you give me a zone and I got all day to throw, I'm going to run past the zone. I'm going to get open against everybody.
Yeah, that's why I say I question the scheme a little bit. And I mean, again, I'm a Del Rio fan. I am. And I believe they'll get it together, but knowing the team I'm playing against, you got Wood. He's in the 4s. Let's put it like that. And on that, like you were saying on the cover two, Gary, where they completed that pass was exactly where that zone coverage in a cover two is vulnerable. And that's exactly where they hit
And
them.
that's where everybody's been completing them, though, Uncle Mill.
Yeah, I know. Well, they take off the top, and then they just feed the tight ends the whole game.
If I don't have that pressure, it's going to be open. Just what
yeah. Two things I do want to point about the DBs.
The thing about it, Tony, is their third downs, they can't get teams off the field. And in their last 4 games, they've given up big plays. And they've given up like 30 points in the last 40 games. I mean, the last 4 games. I hope not 40 games, the last 4. But the thing about it is, I can understand the front of the defense because it's changed. But the secondary has not changed at all.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Mill, finish your point, Mill.
Well, what I'm going to say about the secondary, just real quick. I saw Curl come in for a play, and he got burnt. He got benched rather. And then I saw DeShasia Everett come in and number 30 escapes my head now. He got benched too. And then DeShasia Everett had a penalty at a critical time thrown against him, and he got burnt. So they didn't have no answers.
But Bill, with that being said, if everybody that should have been benched, it would have had some fans out there playing. What were you talking about, G?
If it's like anything else, a good offense runs when everything is running in the offense. A good defense works when everything is working in the defense. All it takes is one thing broken down, and it breaks down, especially in the zone. Because it's a zone. There's open areas. It's a zone. There's open pockets everywhere in the zone. So if the defense line doesn't put that pressure up front, or they close in to take that away, I'm going to get open in the zone. It's not man to man, it's zone. Of course it's open. It's zone.
And you know, that is so true. And you're right, that pressure is the main thing that's really going to make the whole defense and everything work. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about that. When you talk about pressure, though, have you guys put pressure on the voting boxes? Everybody need to get ready to vote. I know we're going to do this in this show. We're going to talk of different things at different times. Now, if any of you guys on my show, if you're not going to vote, don't come back after this commercial. We'll be back in a moment.
We love our new home. There's so much space.
We have a guest room now.
But we have ants.
You're slouching again, Ted.
Expired. Expired. Expired.
Thanks, Aunt Bonnie.
It's a lot of house. I hope you can keep it clean.
At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
Which helps us save a lot of money.
Oh, Teddy, did you get my friend request?
I'll have to check.
Aunt Joni's here.
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
Well, when I left, I told you if you weren't going to vote, not to come back, and everybody ran out. It was a panic in here. I guess they were going out to get their votes in, but at the same time, Gary Clark stayed. So what we're going to do is take advantage of this time. I mean, when you in the room with the ice man, you got to take your time. You'll mess around and get frostbitten. Gee, let's talk about the coverage a little bit. And you know, you were one of the greatest wide receivers ever to play for the Washington team. You didn't get me. You look at it now, and you look at how these Washington players are covering other receivers. What flaw do you see there? Is it the zone? Is it they can't man on man? Is something there that we got to tie it together to get them to playing as a unit?
Well, I think the cover two coverage is a good coverage. I mean, especially when you got a good rush. When you have a good rush, you got good backers. The cover two becomes a great coverage. That's why the Giants did it for years. It was their primary defense. The majority of the time when we played against the Giants, and quite honestly, we lost the majority of the games against the Giants. It was against that cover two defense. But you had Lawrence Taylor. You also besides Lawrence, you had all 3 linebackers were beasts. You had their defensive line that could put pressure, and the defensive backs, it's just customary. They play that zone so perfectly. So you almost got to cheat the system a little bit to be cover two. So when we're having problems with it, it goes back to me is like we're just not getting enough push up front, because what I had to do against the Giants, they were so good. I had to go, instead of running a typical square in, which is 15 yards down the field, you square in, I would go right to the middle of the field. I would cut my split and I'd go straight to the middle of the field to offset their time, because they was putting pressure on us. That's how we was able to get the ball off field, because we make adjustments offensively to it. But with our defense, unfortunately, I mean, the quarterback has enough time to just throw all day, and you'll pick it apart.
Well, that sounds like panic room material to me. It is time to panic, because you're right. If they're not doing, each of them doing their job, each unit, it starts with the defensive line. If they're not getting pressure, that's not going to make a zone work. If those linebackers are not dropping into that middle zone to cut those linebackers off and the backs coming out, a zone that's not going to work. And if those corners get caught up in where they don't get the help at the right places. So all of that has to be synchronized for it to work. You're exactly right. Speaking of how what to work, we'll say something quick about the special team. Tressway, again, you know it. I guess he probably paid Mike big, but he did have 511 yards on his kick, so you had to give it to him. But let's talk about MVPs. And I look at things that have transpired this week, and you start looking at different things that's happened politically and pandemically, and what you're starting to see. And I know we're cutting in, but I said we were going to do this. I'm seeing more and more people getting it and trying to help each other and wearing masks and doing things. And I just started looking each week for something positive to happen during this pandemic, not just for myself and my family, for everyone. So any of you got anything you want to share this week that's real positive to you? We've talked about the negative thing. Anybody have anything positive they want to talk about?
You know, there's one, I'll just take this briefly. There's a theater, you know, where I was on the board, and I've done 30 shows there. It's called the Little Theater of Alexandria. It might be the only theater open in the country where they're doing 1- and 2-person shows. They got the vote of confidence from the city of Alexandria. They bought a $15,000 machine to go in there and spray it every night and clean everything. They have taken 225 seats, reduced it down to 46 people, and knock on wood, they've not had one incident, and they've been open now for 2 months. I'm getting ready to do Christmas Carol there with 4 actors on stage, with 13 virtual actors shot on green screens. And so theater lives at least in one theater in America, and I'm proud to be part of that.
And Tony, one thing about it is that I do my best, this being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which I have a piece later on in the show that I've been trying to do work in the cancer community, and a big ups to Good Morning America, which we'll talk a little bit about that more, and John Wall, who donated $10,000 to the foundation to help breast cancer survivors. So I think that if we sometimes take our mind off of the negative things, what's going on with the pandemic, and try to make a difference in people's lives, that's where we'll find great comfort in going through all of this.
Yeah, Tony, you know, in times past, we're a country that has been known to be resilient, especially when tragedy hits or when things like this happen. And so, as you know, I work with a lot of churches across the state of Virginia. I mean, just all over the state, up and down 81, 64, 95. And there are a lot of good things, which I won't get the press from, but there are churches out there that are coming together and feeding people who may be in problems, providing rides, taking care of whatever the normal, just basic needs are within a lot of our rural communities, but in Northern Virginia as well. So I see that on a regular basis. It has to be a measure of encouragement, you know, to see people coming together like that. And you know, it's not just Black people, it's not just white people, it's all people coming together, helping where need is. So that's encouraging to me.
And that's what I hope come out of this, that we go away from black and white and everything. We go to good and bad and people helping each other, and we all can get out of this. And not just the people in America, it's around the world now. And I tell you what, it's just good to hear good things happen. They had a little piece on television the other day talking about what you should do. It's right now it's easy to get into an argument because of the different things and going on in the voting and who's handling how the pandemic was handled. But they said one thing you should do, try to listen more, try to agree more, and try to argue less. And I think that's important. I thought that was real positive. Hey, thanks for that, guy. Now let's get back to the negative. Washington special teams. Okay, I've said all I'm going to say good about them. Where are we going from now? We're going to talk about the Ravens?
Wait, talk about the Ravens. Obviously, the Ravens won again. But not only
Oh,
that.
wait, hey, wait, whoa. Y'all see how Mike jumped on that?
But I'm not going there this week. I'm
Tony.
not going to the Ravens this week because I know how you feel about it. But come on, Donna's cousin did kick a 48-yard field goal. That's not a chip shot.
But not only that, Mike, the special teams that wasn't on the field enough to do anything. So you really can't talk about them.
I know.
Good or bad.
The Ravens, Tony, we should be talking about the Cleveland Browns, who seem to be winning games now.
Oh, well, last week, and I told you they're kind of dangerous. That's a real dangerous team. But if you look at the Ravens, and one thing stick out about them, they play good all the way around, and that's a very, very good team.
Yeah.
And I know they are here in Maryland, and we will talk about them, but I might get a little bit too enthused about them. I think maybe he need to go and work for them a little bit. What you guys think, G?
I agree, Tony.
Yeah, Mike's talking about him. Even if we aren't, Mike is.
Well,
G, what you say about the Ravens? Is they a pretty complete team?
Did you say the Raiders?
Ravens.
He said the Ravens.
And I asked G. G, you think they're good? Are they one of the most complete teams?
Are you
can't hear me.
Or Mike?
You, Mr. Clark.
I mean, winning tells the story. Yeah, you'd have to say yes.
Yeah.
Winning tells the story. I mean, at the end of the day, we can come up with all the stats and all the statistics and what we see going into the season, but wins and losses tells you everything. So yeah, they're very complete.
Well, and what I'm looking at with
Mike. I mean, I'm not going to beam like Mike, where he just.
I think that
he in love with him, the Ravens. But when we come back, let's talk about how different this year really is around the league. I mean, look at the NFC East. Look at all of them. I mean,
we still got a chance to win the division.
A team that hadn't lost a game in 13 or 14 games, and they come in and just look, they can be scored on, they can be beat. So it looked like what's going to transpire for this season is it's going to be some new leaders there. Just like the Lakers came in and won the basketball championship this year, we can look for the same thing in football. When we come back, we'll look for a new leader in the picks. I know Mike's been pencil whooping us, but he's been picking bad too. We'll be back and talk a little bit about around the league and how the Washington Redskins is only one game out of first place. I said Redskins. I'll be back.
Geico's been helping people save money for over 75 years. They've really stood the test of time, much like these majestic Rocky Mountains, which must be named after the Rocky.
That would be Rocky the Flying Squirrel, Mr. Gecko, sir. Obviously.
Come on, Bullwinkle. They're named after...
First President George Rockington.
That doesn't even make any sense, Mr. Winkle.
Geico, over 75 years of savings and service.
It took several months. We sat down as a committee to talk about exactly what we wanted to do. We wanted the entire community to be engaged. We wanted the members of the Black 14 to learn about who we are now. And then we also wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to strategize how we can best move forward to supporting our current student athletes and students. So it was a lot of planning, faculty, community organizations, various departments around the university. Everyone chipped in, and we had the finale on the field. Very excited.
I'm here with my fellow brothers, Ron Hill, Griffin, Tony, and Guillermo. We all feel the same way. We've been bitter or we've been mad, but right now, the Black 14, the way they were 50 years ago, is gone. The new ones are here now. From now on, we talk positive stuff about the Black 14, and these guys here will be a positive part of it.
I know each and every week, and I have a lot of you have told us that you really like those pieces we have on the Black 14. We're actually going to do that throughout this whole year because this is a very important year, not just for the Black 14, but for everything going. And the Black 14 right now is feeding people. We're getting computers. We're doing a lot of things. I'm going to tell you later on, sometime during the year, how you guys can help. But right now, this is breast cancer month. And Donna Hopkins has a lot of good things to tell you.
There she is. She's chatting with our Rachel Scott. Donna Hopkins has no idea that we're about to surprise her.
Rachel, keep distracting her with that conversation. And we love a surprise here. And also,
what a surprise, a huge surprise by Good Morning America and John Wall from the Washington Wizards for his huge donation to the foundation. When I walked out on that stage and saw all of the faces from friends and family who have been with me throughout this process, emotions just flooded out of overcoming so many challenges and adversities, but even more so, the breast cancer survivors that we'll be able to impact in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. They are the real winners. 20 years impacting the cancer community.
I tell you, Donna, my head is off.
Bravo.
And everyone involved, and everyone that has families and members that have been involved with breast cancer and have individuals that have been involved in whatever we can do to help, we all appreciate, but we like to see it when individuals such as yourself out there is serving the public so well, and you've gone through it.
Yep.
And Tony, the most important thing I want to tell people is make sure that this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but even beyond that is to go get your checks, because I'm a living witness that by going to get your mammogram checks and all of those things that you can live beyond hearing those words that you have breast cancer. So women, get those checks, and men too.
All right, I tell you what, we got a little time left, and I didn't tell you. I noticed you had Jude on that Black 14 piece, and that young lady, when we were out there, she made it so nice, Mike, didn't she? And you know what? You saw Senator Al Simpson on there, the lead senator during the Reagan and Bush administrations, and he was instrumental in everything that's going on, not just then, but what's happening now. And I just say that to let you guys know, it's so many people all over America that is aware of the Black 14 now. And we're going to get together and do something when this pandemic, if it's over or not. We're going to feed people. We're going to get computers. We're going to have Wi-Fi access, and we're going to help with medicine. My hometown has already put $20,000 in towards it. We got the Mormons that's going towards it. And what we're trying to do, with those shirts that I show you each and every week, we feel like if we can sell a shirt, we can feed a family. And we're going to do that. And so much for that, because we'll be taking care of that later. But let's talk a little bit about around the league, guys. Football is a me in two ways. It's a lot more injuries, and we know that simply because they're not in the best shape. But it's a lot more competition, and at this time, nobody's just standing out being so great that you can say they'll be in the Super Bowl.
Hard to believe who's going to be in the Super Bowl, but I'll just throw one thing out there. I think probably the greatest advances made this year are in Russell Wilson. And right behind that has to be the Packers and that offense with our former quarterbacks guru here in the Washington area. So those are the two teams to watch. And I think Pittsburgh coming back and Roethlisberger coming back, those are three powerhouses. And I tell you, they're good organizations and they are powerful organizations. And those three teams you got to watch. And of course, the Ravens, as we all know, they're your four. They're your top four right now.
Kansas City, huh?
No, not going to repeat.
I don't think so either.
No.
And G.
Right back there.
Okay, G, I have to say it. Did your boy forget what play it was the other day when Tampa Bay was playing and he thought it was third down and it was fourth down? And does that mean you still bet on Brady?
Yeah, you still bet on Brady. You don't bet against Brady.
I know it.
You don't bet against Brady. But you also, although the Raiders put a whooping on Kansas City, but I don't bet against Kansas City too often either. That's not going to happen for so often. Yeah. So Kansas City has the new Brady, so to speak. So he's just just a little lighter color. So
hey, Mill, what about the Las Vegas team? One game they look like they're going to be okay, and the next game they don't look good, but now they beat some big opponents. Now, is that a team to look for?
You had the situation here, Tony. It was a perfect storm for both teams. I mean, Kansas City was about due for a defeat, and Las Vegas was right there, man. And plus, they had them. I think that game was played in Kansas City, and so in Kansas City. So I just think that it was just the timing was right for Las Vegas. I don't think you're going to see that every Sunday. I just don't think that Las Vegas is there just yet. And Kansas City will be back.
Thank you.
Yeah. They might. They may have peaked. That might have been it. That might have been their Super Bowl.
You forgot about Cleveland and possibly Arizona. But Tony, could you talk a little bit about just the pandemic and how this is going to affect the NFL in moving forward? Because, you already had Tennessee that has not played games and facilities has been shut down. And they're talking about maybe adding an 18th week because of this moving forward. How does that affect teams, with the Tennessees that have not practiced in 2 weeks and New England that got shut down and the games keep getting switched? How does that affect teams moving forward?
It's just another part of this year, and it's not something that you want to do. And the thing that worries me about that is guys prepared to play on a day and then they can't. But what's even more troublesome with that, you're getting more and more people that's being affected. And you can't make a mistake on these tests. So if you already tested someone maybe 2 days before for that game, but the game is canceled because of the pandemic, then what happens in that next 2 weeks? Did they get a good test? Are they okay? Are they going in untested? So it create a lot of things. So what it's going to do is keep the schedule as well as the players kind of in a turmoil. It's something that you have to deal with, but what we hope it doesn't get to the point where you have to cancel or suspend some of the season. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the picks. We'll talk about next week's opponent, and we'll talk about whatever we feel like. We'll be back in a moment. Well, we're the kind of television show that we're not following your script, their script, our script, or his script. We signing my script. And what we want to do, we ain't going to just talk football right now. It's been some pretty important things. Baseball right now is in the hot part of the season. Hockey. Tell me what some of our teams are doing, Mike.
Well, I just wanted a couple of big things happen this week with the Caps. Brandon Holtby's gone. He's going to be playing for the Canucks. He got a big contract, 2-year contract. He may end up going to the new expansion team. You never know. But in any case, we signed our longtime nemesis, a goalie who has shut us down for years. We got Henrik Lundqvist, and he'll pair up with Ilya Samsonov, and the two of them together that'll be a great net next year. And then in the Nats news, this broke my heart, and everybody loves this particular pitching coach. They fired Paul Menhart. They fired him, Donna. They fired him. They fired the hitting coach, Kevin Long, and Menhart. So I got to tell you the story. It's real quick. So when Menhart went to Davey and said, what's up, Davey? He said, well, I sort of want to go with someone older, who can help the players out. And Paul's comment was, dude, I've been doing this 15 years. And then hitting coach Kevin Long, he brought that team back. He worked with Garcia this past year. I mean, maybe not the best hitting coach in the league, but they were 7 out of 9. They're going to draft number 11 by virtue of how they finished. They're going to go after a pitcher, undoubtedly. And then just one last thing, Whitey Ford passed away. And we talked about Whitey Ford last week. And Whitey Ford holds the all-time record for 33 scoreless World Series innings. And he beat Babe Ruth by 3 innings. In addition to that, of course, he had 6 World Championship rings.
Wow.
He is one of the greatest pitchers of all time. He's in the Hall of Fame. And I just remember him as a kid growing up, running home to see the World Series on that little black and white TV and seeing him in the World Series. My Yankees were my favorite team.
All right, Donna, what you got going on?
Well, Tony, I'm representing the world champion Los Angeles Lakers, and I'm just going to pull up the screen because I've been a fan of theirs forever, Tony. And when you look at the Lakers, They beat the Heat in 6 games, 17th NBA title, Tony, and it's the first championship since 2010. The last time Kobe Bryant had a title. And, this is such a fitting championship being what happened to Kobe this year. And this is LeBron James' fourth player to win the NBA MVP behind Kareem, Wilt, and Jordan. And LeBron has won 3 championships with 3 franchises, the Heat, the Cavaliers, and the Lakers. And I know that you all are going to argue the fact that this was kind of like a crazy season, but a win is a win. And let's not try to take this from the world champion Los Angeles Lakers and, LeBron James and all of them as far as what they did. But, congratulations to the champs.
Tony, I'm not going to argue the season, Tony, like Donnie said, but I'm just arguing the fact that she self-appointed herself. She self-appointed herself as the representative. I don't know that was.
Hey, Milton, I've been a Lakers fan forever.
Oh, here we go.
But what?
There we go.
It sounds
here
like
we go.
Milt, are you still a little upset that she tried to put you off the show, man?
There was some rumor.
I understand, man. This bear with us, man. But tell me a little bit about Washington's opponent. Somebody tell me this next opponent. Do we have an opportunity to win?
You got it. Darius Slayton is a beast. You saw him playing this past weekend. Against Dallas, he was eating them alive. We got to face Darius Slayton. You got Daniel Jones, who's coming on, so to speak. But boy, I tell you, he can scramble out and he can throw, and he's a mobile quarterback. And we always have to watch out for defensive lineman Leonard Williams. This is not going to be an easy game.
No, it won't be an easy game. They just picked up Donta Freeman too.
What are y'all afraid to say the Giants' name? Jerry, tell me about the Giants.
We have a chance to move back in the first place. What are you guys?
Thank you.
Thank you. Back in the first place, and that if I'm a coach, that's what I'm selling all week.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
You know what? Looking at this Giants team, and we have a couple of minutes left. Tell me what this Washington team needs to do. The Giants haven't won, but they've shown that they can be a team to be reckoned with. So what does this Washington team need to do to win on Sunday?
You can't lose.
They
Okay, that's a good one, Michael.
They need to rally behind Kyle. They need to give him a little bit of time in the pocket. At least give him 3 seconds, for crying out loud.
They also pare back the scheme for even Alex at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, the simple it is, the better it's going to be for everybody.
Paring back nothing, Tony. They play football. They need to keep moving the ball forward on third downs because they were 2 for 13, 30-some% the week before. So they've got to be able to move the ball on those third downs.
Okay, Mike, we only got a minute left. I hate to put you in this, but you want to say anything about the picks?
I'll read them right now. They can see them on the screen. There's a lot of weeping, but only on my part. Tony is 11-4. Gary's 11-4. Donna's 11-4. Milton's 11-4, and I am 9-7. The games they'll be picking this week will be Baltimore at Philadelphia. Green Bay at Tampa Bay. They'll be picking LA Rams at San Francisco, Chicago at Carolina, and Denver at New England. If the Denver at New England game is played, as you all made a point earlier, who knows these days? So those are the picks. And next week, I will be back tied for first.
Oh, yeah. Well, fans, next week, don't come expecting that.
Because he got the pin.
Our impromptu show. This is the way we do the show. This is the way we enjoy the show, and this is each and every week. We want you to come back and enjoy it with us, and we never say goodbye. For Mike, we say goodbye to the Ravens. To you guys, we say in the minute.